Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR today, April 19th, 2022. The man they call Meathead, the Matthew Thomas of Matthew Thomas's. Hey, Matthew, you said you got those taxes done, right? It's Tuesday morning. It's the day after the tax day. You've got that all taken care of?
Oh, yeah. Because I got them done ahead of time. The taxman didn't come yesterday. He came a couple months ago.
I had to call in Erwin R. Shyster to help me out with my taxes, and he filed an electronic extension for me.
Well, I know you've been talking about for quite a while that you like to get an extension.
Right. I mean, I am hung like a 6-year-old.
That's terrible. But
it's like I'm smuggling a pack of Rolaids.
Well, hey, I'd like to. The opinions expressed by the man they call Meathead are not the opinions of collarandelbowbrand.com, available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com. You can order many family-friendly shirts at collarandelbowbrand.com. And if you'd like to save money on those shirts, enter promo code Linda K. Save 10% at collarandelbowbrand.com.
Well, let us talk about a little bit of wrestling news. Now, we didn't have the program yesterday due to some technical difficulties. We appreciate your patience. The lovely Linda K. will be joining us soon. But we've got Matthew on a Tuesday morning, which is kind of a change to the routine. And Matthew, I'd like to talk about Battle of the Belts 2 from AEW on Saturday night. Did you watch?
I did.
3 big title matches. Scorpio Sky taking on Sammy Guevara. Jonathan Gresham and Dalton Castle for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. And then in the main event, Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Championship. Now, this was a 1-hour show. It was on at 8 o'clock Eastern. So we're not worrying about, like we had joked before, we're not worrying about, a Texas death match while you're trying to eat your veal or your meatloaf. But we had a triple serving of title matches. Now, we opened up with Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara. Very, very clear that when Sammy Guevara came out with Ty Conte, he was acting as a face and he was being booed out of the building.
Yeah, he and Tay Conte have gone directly into the Cody Brandy Rhodes spots. That's what this feud was supposed to be. The whole thing with the Dan Lambert crew and this, that, and the other. I don't know that they knew they were going to have quite the negative response to Sammy, but my goodness, whether it be Cody or whether it be Sammy, these AEW crowds can drop you at a moment's notice like a bad habit.
Let me ask you a question. Is it both of those groups, or is Dan Lambert somebody that we want to cheer?
I don't think so. Because
that's the common denominator. Right
yeah,
now. We're talking about Dan Lambert.
I enjoy him. I think he's immensely talented, but I think even with your AEW crowd, it's interesting because, you did make a good point. AEW traditionally, more so than WWE in recent years, they're booing the heels and cheering the baby faces, with the exception of Cody and now Sammy. Dan Lambert is the common denominator, but I think it was just the fact that they needed somebody for this feud. And the wrestling audiences traditionally, like we've talked about in the program, they do not like these real life romances on your wrestling screen. And now at the end of it, yeah, Sammy was a baby face at the beginning, but by the end of that segment, I think they know very well what they're doing and very well what they're trying to elicit from the crowd. I just think it's kind of a shame, whether it be, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think it's naturally what's happened with the crowd. But Sammy, one of your pillars of AEW, who is technically positioned as a babyface, who goes out there and takes risk he does not need to take on a weekly basis, is now probably one of the most vilified people in that company.
And he just won a title too.
Yeah.
Now, the new winner and the new TNT champion, Sammy Guevara, I did not see him collect the belt from Dan Lambert, but really what happened at the end of the match was Paige Van Zandt went after Ty Conte as Dan Lambert was trying to call, Paige out due to the interference. She got cheered when she came out, Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah. So you asked why they've had the 2 titles, and I think the Dan Lambert having a title was what it was. Whether this is what they ultimately wanted to do with Cody and Brandy, I don't know. But I think now, especially with Sammy and Ty, expect to see Ty Conti wearing that other title to the ring.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, and here's the thing. I think Sammy seems to be much more comfortable with this heel role than I think Cody ever was. I think it would have been a tough fit. And when we go into what we saw last night, I think the presentation of Cody in WWE, I think Cody being presented as the uber baby face in AEW, that train had left the train depot or wherever trains live at, okay? I think WWE is an ideal fit for an uber baby face. And I think that what you're seeing right now, this heat that Sammy and Ty are getting, that is kind of that residual heat that they wanted to bestow upon Cody.
So now that we've got Sammy Guevara as the first ever 3-time TNT champion, and Ty Conte shouldn't be wearing that belt because they have a TBS championship, one for the men, one for the women. I think they need to go down to one belt. Enough of this 2-belt shenanigans. It's got to stop. Your winner and new champion, Sammy Guevara. The ROH World Champion, the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham, taking on Dalton Castle with the boys. Not the boys from Amazon Prime, but these are the boys. Do you know Dalton Castle is sometimes known as the Party Peacock?
Oh my goodness. I don't know how Dalton Castle has not been on my radar, but this was outstanding.
Well, I mean, he's on a radar, but he's not on my radar.
One of the best entrances I think I've ever seen. This was fantastic.
Oh, it was fantastic. And I remember seeing Dalton Castle come out and he does that, the stick into his wings where he, brings up his, I don't even know what to call it, but in his wardrobe, in his robe where his wings go straight up. I've seen that before. Dalton Castle's entertaining. I don't know if I could deal with him on a weekly basis, but Dalton Castle, absolutely entertaining. More entertaining, though, were the boys. Matthew, I said this to you off here when we came on. I said the boys, and you're like, did you see him? Like, yeah, they were doing what Damian Sandow used to do. They were emulating the moves that Dalton Castle was doing. That was amazing.
And it was even taking it to like a step further. Wherever he was positioned in the ring, they were running to position themselves on the outside of the floor. This was fantastic.
Again, I don't know if I could do it every week, but boy, oh boy. I mean, I was just, it was like a car crash. I was trying to watch every little piece of it that was going on over and over. Well, the winner of the match and still ROH champion is Jonathan Gresham. Now, at the end of the match, Satnam came out. And he basically went after the champion, Satnam Singh, and stormed out to the ring, chokeslammed the boys, plucked Dalton Castle out of the air, and sent him crashing hard into the ring steps. Here comes Jay Lethal knocking Gresham with the lethal injection. Satnam, Gresham's head off the ring like a basketball. Remember, he played basketball. Lee Moriarty ran to the ring, but he got pancaked. Matt Sydal on a crutch. He got budged. And then here comes Samoa Joe. Not Samoa Joe Rogan, but Samoa Joe.
Here's the thing. We had been pining for Jay Lethal to do something of importance for a while. I think now that they're kind of situated with Ring of Honor, absolutely. I like heel Jay Lethal. And, I know there's been a lot of, not great things since we had our surprise ending to Dynamite last week. But here's the thing, man. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you've got a giant in the program or not, you've got Lethal,
the giant
Samoa
Baba
Joe. Yeah, and Sanjay Dutt, like you've got a core ROH group of people getting a prime spotlight. I think this is going to benefit everybody.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way this one turned out versus on Dynamite. Main event was AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa taking on the Native Beast, Nyla Rose. Now, Vicky Guerrero not able to be at the show after what happened on Dynamite, but a nice hardcore match. I really think Thunder Rosa really worked her ass off, and so did Nyla Rose.
Yeah.
But the winner, Nyla Rose, nope, Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa defends and retains, and she instantly goes into the crowd. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I think they made a good move putting this on last. Not a ton of screen time for Thunder Rosa since winning that title a while back, so I like the fact that they let the women main event and headline here.
Dynamite looking stacked for this Wednesday. So far, We've got Punk versus Dustin Rhodes, a coffin match between Darby Allin and Andrade El Idolo. Hook is going to compete on Dynamite. Wardlow and the Butcher. Wardlow coming back to wrestle. Owen Hart Foundation Tournament men's qualifier. Jungle Boy and Kyle O'Reilly. That's a match right there. A women's qualifier. Britt Baker and Danielle Camilla. A major announcement from Tony Khan. And Matthew, I got to ask. A major announcement from Tony Khan. Again, I've said this before. I need to hear him slow down on the major announcements. All right, Dixie? But Tony Khan has not failed us. A lot of these announcements, like the last major announcement, was that he had purchased Ring of Honor. That was a pretty major announcement. What is his major announcement this Wednesday?
I don't think this is a distribution deal. I think it is either an announcement of ROH TV or expanding current AEW TV.
There is talk
possibly of adding, maybe beefing up that pay-per-view lineup a little bit.
There is talk out there of a super card between AEW / Ring of Honor and New Japan.
That could be entertaining.
I have a hard time getting excited for that because the supercard between AEW and Ring of Honor, I know some of the Ring of Honors. Again, Dalton Castle just showed up on my radar, right? But New Japan, as much as, they're going to tell me how great these guys are, I have no clue who the hell they are.
Yeah, same. I mean, it is
and it doesn't matter if they're Japanese talents or European talents or American talents. I have no idea.
You're not necessarily going to have it's not going to be a mainstream big deal. It's going to be a big deal for a certain segment of an audience, but you've got people that are heavily involved in the wrestling industry that the same. We do a daily podcast, and it's going to be a learning curve for us. So that doesn't necessarily jump off the page like some other announcements would.
Right. Real quick, WWE news before we get into Raw from last night. Kushida reportedly gone from NXT. Not released, just contract not renewed. Yep. Jacket time is done.
My goodness. I mean, this would be horrible news if we hadn't gotten the new tag
for jacket manufacturers.
That we got last week. I really like the new tag team that made the scene in NXT last week. But no, I will miss Jacket Time because that was, my favorite tag team for quite a while.
Let's get into Raw from last night. It opens up with Seth frickin' Rollins. And Seth freaking Rollins didn't have a sports jacket on last night. I'm looking at that going, that's just like a zip up jacket. Yeah. Actually, that was a really nice jacket that had a collar on it. The pattern was out of control for me, but I would wear a jacket like that. Well, he calls out Cody Rhodes, and he's basically trying to set up Cody Rhodes. They have a little back and forth. And then he says, I'll tell you what, you thought you were better than me. You're not. How about you accept my challenge to take on an opponent of my choosing for tonight? This is a perfect stepping stone in their little feud.
And I have to give WWE and Cody credit. Cody is over more with that crowd than I thought he would be and how he's presented.
And it's not pumped in. So again, folks, when you're watching this and you're hearing it, don't listen. Look at the crowd. Look at the people in the back. Look at the hands, the up, the down, the left, the right. Those people are jumping up and down for Cody Rhodes.
And I think that, what this shows is AEW is on a lot. The majority of the people that are watching WWE, the AEW is on their radar. So Cody seems like a big get. And that was the concern I had. You're going to have a younger crowd in WWE who, we're not going to know who Cody was, or maybe didn't watch AEW. They zoomed in on people singing along to his theme song. Cody's being presented right. And I also want to throw something else out there. Last night's Raw felt really good to me. And I think
that's all credit to Buffalo. I really think. Yeah. I think Buffalo did an amazing job last night.
I think another thing that we're seeing, they haven't quite announced it, but we are in, maybe it's just for a month or maybe it's just for a little interim era, but we are seemingly, maybe, hopefully moving away from the brand split. And if we're not, we are keeping your title on one show. So the Cody Seth feud, the unification of the tag team titles, there are some storylines that are getting a chance to breathe and feeling maybe like they're higher up the card than they would have been if you had to basically have a WWE Universal title segment in the show.
Okay. Let's talk about the women's tag team titles. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley taking on Naomi and Sasha Banks. I thought this was very, very expected.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to happen last week. She was under protocol. It happened this week. The winners, Sasha Banks and Naomi. Rhea Ripley turns on Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I think this was what we were expecting, and I give WWE credit for going ahead and making it happen. I was a little bit concerned at the end of it. Is this something they're going to keep dragging on for weeks? No. Give us a newsworthy item, make it happen. And let me give Naomi and Sasha credit. Yeah, they're two singles people they put together, but they look more like a tag team than I've seen any two females in that division put together.
Since Sasha and Bayley.
Yeah, I mean they've got similar wardrobes, the hair's similar. They are trying to make that effort there. And I'll tell you too, Naomi as an individual wrestler, as a singles competitor, does not get enough credit as an in-ring technician and a solid wrestler. Some of the singles matches we've seen her in the last couple of weeks, it's really been highlighted. But I like this tag team. I think this is a really, really good fit to hold those women's tag team titles right now.
Veer took on Jeff Brooks. Apparently Jeff is from Buffalo. You know what? It's more impressive now that we talked about the Disney story about Veer's life to look at the amount of hair that he's grown since that picture of him with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And honestly, Matthew, because they zoomed in on his face, you know what I looked at? That looks like paint tonight. That doesn't look like tape anymore. That looks like actual paint on his forehead.
Maybe they heard you last week.
They might have, but Veer destroyed him and another talent stretchered out.
So what you're saying is they veered away from the tape.
Pretty much. They also veered away from putting a known competitor against Veer because poor Jeff there. Jeff got his ass whipped.
He's put out some of their superstars here in the last few weeks, so maybe they learned their lesson of not giving them high-profile talent.
Well, here we go. Let's talk about the lie detector Kevin Owens show. You know what? I was entertained. I was entertained. Kevin Owens did a great job and says, you know what? I don't like liars. And this guy's lying. And is that Chad Gable? Oh, yeah, that's Chad Gable with glasses on. And he's going to administer the lie detector test. Chad Gable, he's got a 2.0, 4.0, 4.0, whatever. And you know what? Ezekiel, which we've seen pictures on the internet now of him and his brother Elias standing together. Are they future tag team champions?
Oh, that would be fantastic. Let me tell you why I think this angle is working so well. Is because
I didn't think it would.
For decades, how long have we seen the intelligence of the wrestling viewer insulted by repackaging somebody as a brand new character and never, ever once mentioning, their tenure prior? Exactly. Here, you are calling it out from the start. The announcers, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is the viewer. Kevin Owens is the viewer from decades upon decades. Hey, wait a minute. I know you're somebody else. Ezekiel is the WWE, is the professional wrestling industry. He is the man behind the curtain. Do not look behind the curtain, because this is working so well. And I tell you, based on what we saw at the end of the show, I can honestly see them moving Owens away from just a straight up heel, because he is so enjoyable with this angle.
He carried that whole segment because his lines about I don't like a liar. See, he lied. I told him to lie. He's a liar. He's a liar.
And he and Gable played off of each other very well on this.
Yeah. Well, Chad Gable promised that if he didn't lie during the test, he would beat the truth out of him. Chad Gable versus Ezekiel. The winner by DQ, Ezekiel. Kevin Owens for the second time says, you know what? If you don't tell the truth, you're going to get it. Or what was his phrase? You're not going to like what happens next. And then he walks away.
So what you're saying, he's basically Ralph Cramden at this point.
Pretty much, to the moon. The Raw Tag Team Champions, RK Bro, took on the Street Profits. The Street Profits with a little bit of shenanigans, playing the Usos music, doing the wave, distracting Riddle, and getting the victory.
Yeah. So another wrench kind of thrown in this whole storyline. Let me ask you this. You and I don't think have just one-on-one talked about this with the tag team unification. I mean, are we going away from the brand split, or are we going to have just belts that stay on certain shows? Where do you think we're headed with this?
I think we're going to continue to have the brand split. However, I think they're going to unify the belts, and the champions will have to go show to show and have to cover both shows. Because remember, they're not doing a ton of house shows anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I'm fine with that, man. I am fine with it.
The deal is to win the belts, you have to understand you will be going to both shows.
Yeah. It's always felt like I think IC title is fine, US title is fine, your mid-card titles like that are fine, but when you have show-specific tag titles or show-specific world titles, then that has always felt just, like something that deteriorates the importance of the world title and the tag title. So keeping the brand split, but unifying the titles, man, I'm fine with it.
Backstage, we have Edge sitting in the throne and Priest standing next to him. That's the hand of the, what was the term? It was the right hand man of whatever. Is he the Matt Damon to Alanis Morissette? That was a Dogma reference right there. So Edge and Damian Priest, there's room on the other side of the chair of Edge.
Yeah. No, there is.
Is this WWE's version of the House of Black? Is that what they're doing?
I think so, man. But I think as of right now, they're doing a little bit better because we're consistently seeing it each week. House of Black is so inconsistent as when we see the House of Black that I think they've lost a little bit of the effect.
WWE United States title match, Theory and Finn Balor. If you cannot smell what the WWE was cooking on this, I apologize, Finn Balor. You were not winning this match, and you were losing your belt. The winner and new WWE United States champion, Theory.
WWE has put their title on a young upstart, up-and-comer. Let's see where they go.
What did you think about the, and this is a no offense, but the lower card guys coming out to celebrate him?
Unneeded, but you can make the case that they're trying to suck up to Vince.
Possibly, because Vince came out and it was selfie time. Vince is proud of his boy Theory, the new U.S. champion.
Absolutely, I'm fine with it, and hey, it's newsworthy.
Let's get to the wedding. Well, let me take that back. They never said wedding. They said double commitment ceremony. Am I the only one that was waiting? So R-Truth first off said that the 24/7 rules are suspended until the ceremony is over. Am I the only one that kept thinking, all right, Truth, you got to get this belt. Come on, Truth. This is got to be yours.
Absolutely.
Wrap
I thought
that's
what this was made for.
R-Truth legit made me pop last night. Do you know where it was once. The rest of the stuff was good, but he made me pop once. Do you know what it was?
Oh, my goodness. There were several good moments there.
So R-Truth literally says, come on, y'all. You guys can, hey, right after we're all done here. And then the whole crowd, hey. I lost my stuff right there.
Well, and then R-Truth, like, not getting flustered by the crowd. I mean, little things like, y'all gonna want to get married one day, too. I mean, the dude was just in
Dana Brooks.
This.
R-Truth, Brooke.
And see, that's the thing about R-Truth humor. It's intelligent humor. It's not lowest common denominator stuff. No. It's
stuff you have to listen to.
Yeah, that would fly under the radar. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is we you know what we need, man? We need an R-Truth general manager of Raw era.
That would be good stuff. Yeah. The switching and flip-flopping of partners was kind of funny. Yeah, no. And here's the thing, I sat through a long game show segment when they were in Denver with RK Bro. But my goodness. It was good TV, but just bad to be at the arena for.
Something like this, though. you put R-Truth out there, it's a different ball game altogether. This thing would have died, I think, in the arena and with the viewers, 5 or 10 minutes into it. But my goodness, R-Truth, like, at least for me at home, kept this thing like, this did not feel like it went too long. This did not feel like it was dragging. This was must-see TV for me because of the involvement of R-Truth.
After the I do's at the end, and y'all can kiss, Reggie takes her down and pins her, gets the 1, 2, 3. I'm like, oh, here we go. Okay, everybody's going to get their spot. Yep, there's Tamina, there's Tozawa, there's Reggie, there's Dana Brooke. I'm like, come on, Truth, come on. And it's over.
Yep.
I was kind of disappointed.
Well. Maybe he'll get his baby back in one day in the near future.
All right, the main event. Cody Rhodes took on a opponent Seth Rollins choosing. Matthew, this also I thought was very, very, very telegraphed. Yes. His friend had a show, his best friend, and he's going to get him to wrestle Cody Rhodes for him. It's KO, Kevin Owens. It's Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens at the end of the night. Now, what wasn't telegraphed was KO, and then, kind of going back to what you said earlier in this program, KO said that doesn't sit well with him as he's yelling to get his fat ass up. He yells back at Rollins, let him know that this is your match, not mine. Owens walks away, gets counted out, the winner by count out, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and I think what we really got last night, in the build up to Mania and even in the few weeks since Mania, Seth Rollins really hasn't been presented as a heel. And I think there was a danger here, especially with putting him opposite Cody and trying to get your new acquisition over. Do we have a split crowd, or do we have a crowd that even, goes a little bit more towards Seth? I think last night was really a dedicated effort
to make Seth the bad guy,
reestablishing Seth Rollins as a heel. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was Raw, and that is our show for this morning. I'm more than happy to continue talking to you this week. Matthew, I think we're going to talk to you tomorrow. Is that right? We'll have to check with the schedule. We'll get Linda Kay back on at some point, hopefully this week as well. We'll work it out. Plus, we're making our way. We're not there yet, but before WrestleMania Backlash starts, we will have a new roster, and it'll be the championship season of the man they call Meathead for 21-22.
You know what? I got a proposal, like new idea. I think what we do is we just keep same rosters.
How about no? So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.